Skyward Sword HD for the Nintendo Switch. Link gets rudely woken up from a nightmare by Zelda's loft wing. Zelda is sucked into a giant tornado, being driven down to the surface world below. The Spirit Fi then calls out to Link, getting him to take up the quest to go on and save Zelda. And he then travels through 3 different temples where he meets the Demon Lord Girahim. Link then goes on a lengthy quest to activate the true power of the Goddess Sword, which allows him to open a twin time gate and finally catch up with Zelda. Zelda then blesses Link's sword and goes into a 1,000-year sleep to preserve the seal on Demise, imploring Link to use the Triforce to banish him once and for all. Link then manages to defeat Demise, who curses Link and Zelda upon his defeat before being sealed within the Master Sword. In terms of the aesthetic, this game still looks pretty great. It's more or less just a very clean upscale of the Wii version rendered in 1080p. You still have the option of using motion controls, but what really got me excited was the addition of the button control scheme. Controlling the sword has now been mapped to the second thumbstick, with you flicking it in the direction that you want your sword strikes to go, or pressing it in to stab forward. Other small controls that were previously motion-based have also been remapped in different ways. Gyroscopic aiming was also added for a variety of your weapons like the bow. Everything does feel a lot more precise. The dungeons themselves are still pretty solid in my opinion, with none of them ever being overly long or tedious. Some of the puzzles were very inventive, requiring using a combination of items in new ways that hadn't been explored before. The bosses of the dungeons tended to be the parts that I found the most frustrating. There are several like Girahim or the Imprisoned that are just straight up annoying. And the game also reuses a bunch of the bosses throughout the story. The world that you get to explore is broken up into the land above the clouds and also the surface, and you hop between these two pretty regularly. While the starting island of Skyloft can initially feel pretty small, the more you progress through the game, the more it opens up with additional side quests, characters to interact with, and things to do. And exploring the other islands in the sky was also pretty interesting. The surface world is broken up into 3 main areas, which can be categorized as a forest, volcano, and desert. And though I do wish there had been more variety in terms of different environments, you do at least usually open up new paths and sections in these areas when you return to them. One of the new mechanics added to this version of the game is that the Zelda and Loftwing amiibo can be scanned, but because bird statues are plentiful in the surface world, it wasn't anything hugely game-breaking. So taking all of that into consideration, did this remaster turn Skyward Sword into a perfect game? I'd still have to go with no, although it did improve it in a lot of ways. I also still think that this is the most believable depiction of the Zelda and Link friendship/relationship to date. And the high concept plot is still one of my favorites in the entire series. This is definitely a preferred version to go with, giving you a lot more options, and I definitely think it's worth playing through if you're a fan of the 3D Zelda titles.